Hello. Welcome to the stream. The stream in which we are going to have a little bit of a conversation about Daniel Farke things, because I guess we're having this talk again. This is going to be a fairly sort of structured video style stream that I will then go on to do a little bit of chatting afterwards, but I just thought we'd generally have a little bit of an hour about the entire thing, because I've done a bit of research and everything, and it should be great fun. But we're apparently talking about Daniel Farke at Leeds United yet again. This conversation does not go away. And to be clear, before we start, I'm going to echo the sentiment of something that I saw in a chat on Joe Wayman's stream. It might have been Evie or someone that said it. But whilst I will point out negatives, there are positives. Whilst I will point out positives, there are negatives. It is a balance. It's like I say with every single player in the Leeds United squad. There is a reason they are in the Championship and not the Premier League. They're not going to be perfect. And at the same time, there's a reason that they're in the Championship and not League Two. They're not going to be complete dog shit. Let's keep that in mind. Let's not get too toxic, because I know that people like to be rather toxic when it comes to the internet. And then we'll all have a much better time and things will be absolutely fantastic. So we're going to take a slow, gradual look at absolutely every aspect of this and come to not a conclusion, but a recommendation. Because I think that's probably a safer way of doing things than everyone's heads going boom, which is what we tend to do a little bit too often. So to start with, I'm going to look at Burnley, because as you all know, if you've checked my community page, there was a reason that I very much didn't watch that much of the match. So I've had a chance to watch it back now, which, I'll be honest, come to a few conclusions on it. But a 1-0 loss to Burnley isn't something that feels good. Is never going to be something that feels good. But that's something that we need to talk about. And I think I'm going to run through reason by reason exactly why we lost that match and minute by minute on what I've managed to see. And there are plenty of individual moments. Matteo missing in the first minute sets the tone for that match. Because if he puts that ball in the back of the net, Burnley have to come out. It becomes that transitional game that we're significantly better at. And we probably win that quite comfy cozy. In addition to that, I've put Nonto's goal. It wasn't a goal, but it was a really good chance that he fired directly at James Trafford, which is always going to be real difficult for us to do anything with. Then Burnley's goal. That's a case of Manor Solomon slips. Bogle is just confused, doesn't know what to do with his positioning, because that's the sort of spot you need a centre-back to be in realistically. Doesn't know whether he's staying or going, which player he wants to go to, ends up not going anywhere in time, and then we've got a little bit of a problem. Also need to discuss the penalty shout and the overall refereeing, which was not very good. I still think it was a penalty. He's come through the back of him. That's given as a penalty 9 times out of 10. And although the commentator on the highlights that I watched said, well, the referee's got a perfect view of it, we can never tell. You can a bit. Because you, Mr. Commentary Man, I know this having sat in that bit of Elland Road where the media people sit, you've seen it from 4 angles by this point. You are allowed to give an accurate opinion. That's fine. All these moments aren't me saying that, no, it was completely fine, it was a perfect performance. As I've mentioned earlier, there will be goods and bads. This was in the to be clear before we start bit. But it's to bring up what the role of variance is in football. To bring up the fact that an individual moment will completely change the look and feel and outcome of a game of football. Manor Solomon has studs that are like a couple of millimeters longer. We don't concede that goal and we keep the pressure on them. Because the fact they scored meant they were able to just go, okay, compact, sit in, let them play in front of us. They didn't need to do anything aggressive because they'd already scored a goal. What's the point? If Matteo isn't slipping backwards a little bit when he tries to take that shot, we're again significantly more comfortable in that situation. And it's sort of put my old noggin in a little bit of a situation where if we're looking at our dropped points, we got to consider the teams that we're against, because this is more than just an individual match. We have dropped points in 3 different games. They've been Burnley, West Brom, Portsmouth. Burnley, team that got relegated from the Premier League last season. Very, very good side. 1-0 loss to Burnley isn't the end of the world. West Brom, we drew against them, and let's have a very quick look at West Brom's current record in the Championship, shall we? If it wants to load, come on. West Brom are comfortably top of the table. West Brom are one of only 3 teams that are unbeaten at the minute. Only conceded twice, and we are the only teams that have taken any points off them. And then you got Portsmouth. Portsmouth are in a very weird situation because you look at it, and Portsmouth, second bottom, sure, fine. At the same time, have you seen the way they had to start the season? They've played Oaks on the opening day. They played Luton, who got relegated last season. They've played Borough, who are up towards the top of the division. Sunderland, also up there. West Brom, I've just explained. And then they've got Burnley, Sheffield United. As openings to a season go, I don't think things could get any more nightmarish than what Portsmouth are facing. And they are holding up reasonably. They've got 3 points out of that. They got draws against Luton and against Borough. Managed to score against Sunderland. They're not a dreadful side. And we should have won that match. And what I'm basically saying is, whilst Mitchell, for example, in the live chat is saying, I'm sick of that if we play it again, we win. At the end of the day, that's what a sample size is for. And sample size matters. Because in the grand scale of things, you might say, we can't play the game 50 times over and over and over again until we win. No, that's true. That's fine. That match against Burnley has happened, and we have lost, and we are not going to get those points back. But it's a 46-game season. So in the grand scale of things, yeah, we won't play Burnley in that one specific match. But the performance will be repeated time and time and time and time again. So the variance reduces. The impact of one decision on your season gets a little bit smaller because you've had a bigger sample to look at and to get an idea of what's actually happening in these games of football. What's good? What's bad? Where are we missing out on things? And to be clear, I did say this earlier. I did say that it's not going to be everything's great or everything's dreadful, because there are still clearly some issues that I'm going to run through now. The first one, the use of substitutions. Substitutions are a pain because we'll get fairly late in a match and then we'll end up not making a change, and then everyone will look at it and go, we should have probably done something sooner. And yeah, that is an issue with the way that Daniel Farke manages right now. And another issue with the way that he manages is he doesn't really do changes of pace too well. When it comes to it, when it comes to looking at the match and other sides are sat in a low block and we're trying to do something about it, we don't really do anything about it. We try and go about the standard game plan and work chances, and it doesn't necessarily work. And this is where I think what Matt Leeds has said makes sense. Dan James is a massive miss, but not only that, the play style that Dan James brings is a big miss. Because what we really need is, rather than... The way that I've phrased it is a little bit weird, but I just want to sort of make sure that I'm portraying it right. What we need to look for is bi-transitional football. At the moment, we are playing a sort of domineering style where we hold a hell of a lot of the ball and then they get to counter-attack, which is bad, and I would argue they are playing a transitional style, which means that we need to try and make it a bit more bi-transitional, where both sides are able to say, okay, I've got the ball, go. Because last season, when it came to it, that transitional stuff was absolutely fantastic for us. But we've not had a chance to do that much of that, and we need to find a way to sort of force teams into that, because it's doable. It's very doable. It's just a matter of finding those little levers that we can pull and make it happen, because if we don't make it happen, then we're at risk. And the real question that a lot of people will have is, what do we do? You're seeing a situation in which things are big and they are bad and whatever. There are 5 matches in the league so far this season, and in 3 of them we've dropped points, fine. And I don't think my answer is going to make many people happy. But it's an honest answer of what I think the right route is. And the answer, in my opinion, is we wait a little bit. Because we're in that weird period before Christmas where there's a September break, an October break, a November break. We're 4 matches out from the next international break. Considering we've had 5 so far, we're basically doubling the amount of football we'll have played. You've got a lot more data on what the season's looking like. You've got a better transition time for if you do end up wanting to replace someone, they'll get a significant amount of time with some of their players. Not all of them, admittedly, because we have a lot of players that go on international duty. But you're in a position where you're able to sort of make that switch as smooth as you possibly can. And in addition to that, we need to remember that, and I don't think anyone would disagree with this, we came incredibly close last season. We were within one really good final day of getting promoted. And comparing this season and last season, we're ahead of last year by 2 points. 5 matches in last year, we had 6 points on the board. 6. Up at 8 at the minute, which is not too bad. And we've lost once to a side that came down last season and will be definitely in the conversation to go up. And before I sort of go over to the live stream chat and have a little bit of a conversation with them about what's been going on, if you're not watching this live, you should. It's great fun. I'm going to do a little quick throwback to a football match that I looked up from a while back, in which we lost 1-0 to Swansea, who created essentially one chance, which basically what happened against Burnley. At the same time, we missed about 3 really, 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 really good chances, which, again, I think we can remember. Mateo's miss, not great. Nonto's miss, not great. Manor Solomon should have won as a penalty. That's a lot of opportunities. But we didn't score in this one. We didn't score in that one. Both ended 1-0. And in both of them, we dominated possession and we dominated chances. And that was the first loss of the 2019-20 season. Like, this was the first loss of the 24-25 season. And look at the season that we're talking about. Didn't go too badly, did it? So an individual performance does not set out exactly what the rest of the season will look like. And yeah, there are some trends there. But I think we give it a while. We don't jump to snap conclusions because that doesn't help anyone. Let's remember, we hired Javi Gracia and Michael Scubala and Sam Allardyce on rash, short-term decisions. Didn't really work out for us, did it? Because here we are in the Championship. The last proper long-term planned-out managerial signing that we got was Marcelo Bielsa, because I'm not going to count Jesse Marsh. Because that didn't seem long-term. That was a, let's sack someone and then build from there. But yeah, I'm landing in the position of give it time, see where we are in the October international break, and work from there. But as always, that's just what I think. Kind of want to know what you guys think on this one because I know it's a big controversial style topic. So if you're watching this after the fact, let me know in the comments. If you're watching this right now with me, we're going to hop over to a questions corner in a moment. But for the people that are watching afterwards that might not want to stick around for all the questions and stuff, I know that's a thing because I've seen my viewership graphs. Hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, become a channel member, all the fun stuff. We'll see you later. But let's get over to the live chat. Let's hop open questions corner and have a little bit of a conversation about the main discussion point that lots and lots of people are very, very mad about, because they always are, which is a little bit of a spooky nightmare. Where are we? If we lose, I prefer a bad one because then you can actually analyse and come to ways to improve. Losing against the runner play to a Manor Solomon mistake gives the illusion there's nothing wrong. It doesn't give the illusion there is nothing wrong, though. It gives the illusion of something went wrong because, like, chances, etc., that we didn't put away. But I guess it's a question of at what volume of chance creation does it shift blame from players to manager or manager to players, etc., etc. So let's have a look. I'm still in the 1920 season. Oh dear. Let's get back to this specific game. Yeah. So we created the same volume of chances as we did against Sheffield Wednesday, but I don't really know if we played shit as many people have argued against them. I don't think we did at all. I think we were okay. We just didn't finish the chances. On the corners thing, there's definitely a point there. I think it will get better because we've got Strauch up in that conversation now again, and at least he gets his head on the ball, but we've never been a team that does well at set pieces. What position would you say would be unacceptable for Farke in January? It's kind of hard to say. Like, if we're any worse than we were at that point last season, then that'd be very much a, ugh, it's not kind of good enough. So I'd want to be within at least 5, 6 points of the top two, which even then is close. In that case, it'd be like, okay, contextually, are we actually going forwards right now? But the reason that I'd say like one of the October or November international breaks is probably the time to get that done if you are doing it at all, is because then you give a new manager January to fill any gaps that they feel are present in the squad. Because the way that a lot of sides do it is, well, we'll give you January and then see how we're doing. Don't give the new players time to bed in, which in itself is part of the problem, and then just sort of sack someone in the second week of February. I don't. At that point, you've just no one is in a good situation there at all. Sorry. Eh. Gruev's been better than Ampadu at the start of the season, but people are saying he's played bad. I don't think he's played badly. I think I'm in a weird spot with it where I think, yes, Gruev has played reasonably well with what he's been told to do, which is play that more progressive role. But I'd still consider not starting him for the next match. Not even because I don't like Gruev, because I do like Gruev, because Gruev is a very, very good footballer. He's a very good holding midfielder. But, and it's a big but, we've got Tanaka. And the reason that I think we've not seen Tanaka yet is he's had very little time to train with the squad. You got to remember, we brought him in last day of the window. So he trained, what, a couple of hours with the squad? And then he had to go and play with Japan, which he came back from like 2 or 3 days before the match. He won't have had like any training with the squad. He won't know the system. And I think this coming week is a period in which we can sort of teach him that. And you can understand that and he'll grow into it. So the amount of people that were like, well, we need to be playing Tanaka right now. Tanaka doesn't know the way that we play yet. Because he's been here for about 15 minutes and 10 of those minutes were spent in Japan. Which is tough. Do we play Bamford against the low block as he makes space for others? I think the way that he tends to make space for others is when things are open. And when things are as low as they got against Burnley, I'd say that it's a job for the midfielders and wingers to create something for the centre forward that is in the box. It's just different. Where are we? Favorite Leeds social media thing this weekend was Farke outthought Farke. I think a chinchilla because they can't compete in 1 2 weeks prep as well. I mean, I don't think Parker did anything thinky in that match, did he? Realistically, like they didn't create shit aside from Manor Solomon's fallen over. Oh dear, that was it. That's not outthinking. That is getting lucky. But that happens. Sometimes you will get lucky. And that didn't happen for us on Saturday, which sucks. But that's fine. Far Cry Outland, who we want long term. This is another reason that I've been confused at the bandwagon. Because there are many people upon the bandwagon. We have to recognize this. And, like, fair enough. There's fair reasons to be like, well, I don't think he quite suits what we need at the minute. The concern for me is that these people haven't realised that you would need a replacement manager, and you would need a replacement manager that isn't just an immediate spooky panic. Thank you very much for the gift of membership, by the way. Really appreciate it. But with this one, you would need to be like, from the 49ers perspective, right? We have a set shortlist of 3 people who we know are reasonably easy to get as our next manager. Then it becomes sane to act. If you're not ready, then you just end up where we did after the Marsh issue, and after the Gracia issue, and after the Scoobs issue, where you're sort of floundering a bit. Because, yeah, Iraola might have been on the list of people that we want to sign, but at the exact same time, he wasn't really gettable, which was the problem. Yes, obviously we do. We came back from a much vaster gap last time round. Just to check. Hold on. I want to do the maths in my head. We are a grand total of 4 points off when there are 41 games left. Yes, we stand a chance for promotion. This is a wild take. Just saw you rant against Michael Powell and just your podcast when he said that Farke was brought on by him just to protect Leeds as they were losing by 1-0 statement. Didn't make sense. Yeah, that it threw me a bit. It was like, yeah, Farke's made the change because he wants to protect the 1-0. And then I was like, what are you talking about? That's wild. And this was followed up by Michael going, yeah, it was a joke though. I was like, that's not how jokes work. Jokes are funny. This was just words. What? Okay. How did you rate David O'Leary as manager? I personally didn't, because I'm gonna have a look at how old I was when. Because at most I was at the age of 4 when David O'Leary was the manager. I don't know. You tell me. Isn't anyone better than Farke available to us? My Farke lovers are definitely don't want to change at this stage. Yeah, I'm just firmly in the. I don't. It's fine. Hello, Connor. How's it going? Hoping you're doing good. This is where people go for like the. Ooh, chill. We're good. We're vibing. We're okay. Situation. I think no matter what, it's gonna be a case of take a breath. There's an international break coming up. We'll get there. You know, all will be well. I do also need to see the chinchillas, by the way, because cute fuzzy mammals are very much needed at the moment. I agree, not for a change at this stage. I think he's still obsessed with man management, having just faith and didn't put enough into the tactical side. He'll just stick with an ineffective license. It's a question. And it's a fair point. It's one that I mentioned with the subs perhaps not being as effective as they need to be, because it throws us off a little bit. Also, I don't know what's going on with my chair, because one of the arms is going up more than the other one. That'll do. Cool. Thank you, chair. Yeah, that's one of the issues, and it's one that needs to be addressed, I think, realistically. But we can still be more good in the short term. Hard to say. I weirdly haven't seen videos of domesticated bats or sugar gliders. I love how this conversation always goes somewhere completely weird. It's great. It's fantastic. And we always end up lost. I'd like to see Ramazani as well. Difficult to attract top managers at championship level. Moyes, Potter, or any of the top coaches would. Unless you mean wouldn't. Only Colbrand and Danny Roll will be gettable at this level. That's what makes it tough. That's what makes it a little bit complex. Because even if Moyes did drop down to this level, I don't really want David Moyes. I think that would be miserable. I don't know who is looking at David Moyes and going, oh, now that is a manager that I want. But yeah, maybe he's just looking for a job. But Jesus Christ, can we have a little sniff of positivity and optimism? Just a little. Ooh, someone good. Like, there's a world of football, right? We don't need to be where we are right now. Let's have a quick look as well. Also, apparently, last time he didn't have a very good time at Sunderland, even a little bit. I don't think he's managed in the Championship at all, which is a little bit of a problem. It won't come anywhere whilst he's getting paid a pretty penny from Chelsea. Yeah, I mean, if he were to want to come into management, I think we wouldn't have been in the worst spot for it. But Football Guru, by the way, tends to know his stuff. Purely available, Benitez. I don't know about Benitez. When he was at Everton, that looked like a very sad time. Schumacher now, 4 mil to get Cobra and Nigel Pearson, Lesmore. Yeah, I mean, there are options if you look out. But it's the point of the reason I think we were so comfortable when we got Bielsa in was it was very, very, very easy to get rid of Paul Heckingbottom because you knew that you were upgrading there. I think to be as confident as a lot of people are with this conversation around get him out, sack him, all that stuff, it would need to be something nuts like this. It would need to be, yeah, we've got another world-class manager in the background. You'd need to pull something big out like that to be full on. Yeah, he's got to go now. No, just give it a month. Give it a month. We'll see. There's also this. We'll be fine. Schmidt has trained with, over the international break, 8 senior footballers. 8. Tanaka barely trained here at all. We need to consider that it does take a bit of time. We've got new players, and that's brilliant. I love it. But let's give them time to mesh and meld and be happy and be good. You know? Is this really a panic lease? We didn't get beat by a win, Rooney said. There's this as well. Yeah, we've lost to be completely clear here, Burnley, who were in the Premier League last year, who are very, very good. Currently 5th. And yeah, they're a little bit lucky, I think, because the way that they are over converting their chances is to an extent I've never seen. But that happens. Backing Farke as long as Leeds remain in the mix, they don't have to be in the top 2, but just as the top 2 aren't doing, a Leicester or Ipswich are the 12, 17 points ahead. I don't even think it'll get to that position. I think it'll be okay. We'll be fine. Don't even need to have this convo. It was just one of those games on Saturday. Every side has those games. Keep the faith in Farke. Yeah. The share this level, and then when we go up, we'll review. And we will. And I think the issue that Daniel Farke had at Norwich was he wasn't really backed at all. And I feel like that would not be the case this way around. Because we know that the 49ers will not make any money in the Championship. And that's not even like the whole dividends chat that a lot of people have. Like, I saw a comment it might have been Joe's chat that said something like, yeah, but at least Will Ferrell's got his new Lamborghini. And it's like, what do you think is happening here? You think he put money into Leeds and then immediately got a Lamborghini worth of profit? That's not how. What? The value of Leeds United does not go up until we get promoted. That's it. That's the rule. It's that simple. As long as we are in this division, there is no profit because they profit by selling the club at some point in the future when their big valuable asset has a potential buyer. But that asset doesn't get valuable whilst we are playing Oxford United or Plymouth or Portsmouth. That happens when you got the big spectacle matches and it's in a new stadium and all that stuff. That doesn't happen down here. So the stuff about, yeah, but at least they're making profit, not accurate. Even a little bit. We all said before the season started that it would be more competitive, all teams would take points off each other, and now we're panicking because a team took points off a rival. Yeah. You can't just completely piss a league. I know that it's a meme, and everyone's like, HMS piss the league. It's not how it works. Even a little bit. You don't just get to walk through teams like they're nothing. Would you rather have your face on the back of your head or living in a pride constantly playing yours? Ooh. Face on the back of my head because then I could pretend I'm Voldemort. Let's look at Burnley. Were they really any good? They got lucky. They did a bit. Yeah. To be completely honest. Farke brought in 40 new players when he went up to the Prem, although, yeah, that's the thing, that he brought replacements, but they weren't Premier League standard. And that was discovered when Norwich tried to play in the Premier League, and it didn't work. I feel Farke should get another 5-6 games, otherwise we need to move fast. We should not be below them. Yeah. Basically, that's why I'm saying the international break is the time to make a bit more of a judgment on it. Because then you know where you stand a little bit more. You've played, what, 9 matches? Which is almost half the championship. You will have played clubs of all sorts of tiers. And then you'll have a better idea of where you actually sit, and your players will have had a chance to get back into things. Because on this one, he's been back, we have the best squad in the league, etc., etc., etc. Sure, true. But Manor Solomon's had like a week of actual training with the players, so that chemistry hasn't built up yet. Ramazani, similar situation. Tanaka and Schmidt have like barely had what, a few days of actual training with the full squad. Like, we bought players and as yet Farke hasn't used them. Manor Solomon has played the last 2 games from the start. Jayden Bogle has started every league match this season so far. Like, he has used them. At the moment, he's waiting for Tanaka and Schmidt to get into that little bit more of a comfortable zone. Because if you throw someone into a system that they don't know and they don't understand, they can cause more harm than good. That's just a problem. All you're doing there is making things more difficult for yourself. And you know what happens when that goes on? When Schmidt looks a little bit lost? Everyone says, don't know why we played Schmidt. Clearly he wasn't ready yet. We should have played Jayden Bogle. There isn't a right answer to this if we don't win. Because no matter what, like, you would have done at the time, you can always, after the result, look back in hindsight and go, yeah, I mean, obviously that was wrong from the start. Sorry? I will agree with this. This is what I think is one of the bigger downsides with what we're doing at the minute. For me, it's the use of his bench that bugs me the most. Bring on players at the 85th minute is pointless. We want him to succeed because that means our club succeeds. But at the same time, well, Jesus fuck. I've just explained on the Tanaka thing. It's okay. It's okay. We can breathe. We're good. We're fine. Yeah. On this, I agree. I think earlier changes in a more sort of limited and structured way is probably what makes sense. Like, yes, there were probably changes that were enforced due to injury, stuff like that. But I don't know. Tricky 4 games coming up with plenty of training time between the first next to. I think I know what you mean. Should see Dan James back soon. I think he's back after the international break, which is a little bit of a pain. But things can turn around quickly. They absolutely can, and that's the thing. We don't. Do we need things to turn around? Are we hitting panic buttons right now? I'll let you in on a little sort of behind the scenesy YouTubey thing, by the way. Right, and this is top secret. So I'm gonna draw you in. I'm gonna pull you in. I'm gonna pull you in close. That's really close. There have been times where I've done a stream and I've seen that it isn't necessarily doing too well at the start. But then I think it doesn't necessarily need turning around. It's probably fine. It'll get to the numbers that I hope it does. And then, weirdly, that always tends to happen. Because patience is a virtue. And a season is 46 games long rather than 5. And everything will be okay. And I don't like getting spooked. And I don't like going zooming in because it means that I need to edit things immediately afterwards and it makes things complicated. But it's fine. But yeah. I don't think I've ever. Yeah, I don't think enough YouTubers talk about like the number panic. Because like the moment that the transfer window stopped, oh, that felt bad. That was very much, oh, where's everyone gone? Because I went from like, hold on, I'll get the specific numbers as well, just as a sort of like evidence thing. I did a video on Ilan Cabal on the 25th of August that got 19,000 views. My stream that I was doing where we were doing the flight tracking thing as well, if I want to do like a live comparison, got, let's find it, 4,178 views with a concurrent viewership of about 500. That was really nice. And then the window stopped and it's like, yeah, you're getting a grand total of 300 views overall on your streams now. Thank you. Oh no. But yeah, it's a case of just wait it out. It'll be fine. I think you have 10 to 15 minutes for a response in the second half, then you got to make a change. Yeah, that's the same spot that I'm in. So, relate. Basically, if you watch my Football Manager streams, which will be coming back shortly, by the way. Like, I'm going to do a FM stream soon because I've not quite a chance to sort out the Joe stuff. But it'll be on the way. And you'll notice that changes tend to be 60 minutes unless we have an actual reason to panic. And yeah, it's a very long season. We'll be fine. Ow. There. My lips just stuck together. That really hurt. But I think give it to international break. That'll be 10 games out of the overall season. There'll be 9 in the league. And we can get a very decent judgment of where we actually are. And this is important as well. It's not a 2-horse race. There are currently many horse. Everyone's a horse. Is everyone a horse? I don't know. But this is what matters. Bloody stuff. My pods went from 600 to 912 listeners during the transfer window to around 60 odd now. Yep. Because people are news desperate when it's the transfer window, and people are so spooked when it's not. Because at the end of the day, and this is going to be another one of those things where I like. Some people might interpret this the wrong way, and I hope you don't, because if you do, then that'll make me all sad, right? But the way that I would phrase it, the reason I am confident about Leeds is, thank you, by the way, Football Guru, for the membership. and I'm going to cover this one first. Needs to get us promoted to one of your playoffs. Yeah, same. But I still think it's a little bit too early to say that like that's not going to happen. But again, on this, the secret is it doesn't fucking matter, even a little bit. At the end of the day, football is a hobby for almost everyone watching it. You got people in like the YouTube space, like a Joe and a Connor, who have it as their full-time jobs. Football for most viewers is just a hobby. At the end of the day, it's chill. It doesn't matter that much. And if we don't get promoted, fine. It's not like we don't have a football club next season. And if we do get promoted, brilliant. We get to play in bigger stadiums and stuff next year. And for the people that create stuff, great. The viewership numbers go up. But the reason that I don't flip into these hardline, I'm incredibly angry stances is because it, at the end of the day, doesn't matter. It's like I had a moment on Saturday where I was sitting with Dorothy, which some of you will know the story behind that if you're a channel member. If you don't, had a rabbit. Saturday was a bad day. And it sort of clicked that, like, oh yeah, Leeds are playing right now. But it didn't matter. Because at the end of the day, there's a lot more important stuff. There's vastly more important stuff. There is family, there is friendships, there is actual job. Some people, sure. But, like, I don't know if I've got the energy to, because on this, it's great. It's great to have football for the highs and the positive emotions and all that fun stuff. But once it hits something going bad, I'm not gonna fly off the handle and be like, things that club's gone, because it's not. Because at the end of the day, it's not like we're never gonna win a game of football ever again. It's not like we're in a situation like Bury, where that club stopped existing because it was mismanaged to a wild extent. No. We've lost 1-0 to Burnley. And whilst, yeah, it does dictate how the way some people are feeling, there's different ways of approaching football. And it doesn't need to be everything's on fire, let's be miserable. A lot of the time you can approach it along the lines of, we've lost, bollocks. Rest of the weekend. And I think that's just a lot of a healthier way of approaching things. So it's not a case of being super confident about Leeds, because I do think we'll go up. Yeah. Like I thought we'd go up last season. But at the end of the day, I look back to Wembley and it was shit for the football side of things. I had a good day because I got to go and watch Leeds in our like national football stadium with my dad and my brother, and it was something that I don't know if I'll be able to do again. Then at the end of the day, football doesn't have to be the results. It has to be the everything else. Because if a hobby is something that you look at and you go, I hate this now, do you really want it as a hobby? I think so. Speaking of not letting things dictate your mood and having off for some self-care, so she'll catch up later. Okie dokie, that sounds like an excellent idea. I shall talk to you shortly. And there is a lot of chat about chinchillas. Even if it's a livelihood, it's not something that should break your spirit. Yeah. Reserve spirit breaking for big stuff, you know? But if this is the stuff that hits, then that's okay, but pivot to something healthier. One sec. Multiple hobbies is the key. Put attention to the others and entertainment stuff throw. Yeah, that's it. At the end of the day, it's 11 highly paid, 22 to be fair, highly paid people kicking a ball. It's fine. Good afternoon, Lux. How's things? You've joined as we're getting incredibly philosophical. It's great. Um, and you've also joined when I was about to end in a couple of minutes, but I'll stick around for a few more. There's only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will. I don't know this philosopher name. Epictetus. Ooh. He was born into slavery. Jesus. That man knows the route to unhappiness as well, I guess. Philosophy is a way of life, not simply a theoretical discipline. To Epictetus, all external events are beyond our control. He argues that we should accept whatever happens calmly and dispassionately. What do you mean, all external? However, individuals are responsible for their own actions, which they can examine and control through rigorous self-discipline. I think there's lots of problems with this man's philosophy. If you're not bothered with outcomes, why spec? No, but that's the thing. I am bothered with outcomes. I am evidently bothered with outcomes. You can watch a football match and get sad because you lost. That's fine. You can watch a football match and be happy because you won. That is also fine. What I'm saying is don't let it dictate everything like some people do. Because that's bad. That's really, really bad. And that's not healthy. At all. And on this, why spout your confidence just getting fan cycles up with nonsensical rhetoric? I don't think the fact that sometimes I feel positive is something that shouldn't be allowed to be shared because you like to feel negative. It's not nonsensical rhetoric. To be clear, I still care. I still give a shit. I still have opinions. I just don't let them ruin my day, weekend, week, month, year. Because at the end of the day, I care about football. There'll still be more football. Football, yes, I give a shit about. But there's also more important things. Both things can be true at the same time. That's all I'm saying. No, yeah, they do. That's completely fine. People have the right to be negative. I'm just explaining where I'm coming at it from, where my stance on it is more of a bad thing happened. On to the next one. Because there's always gonna be a next one. I don't think we're getting like buried here. We'll be fine. But this is what's sort of throwing me a bit because yeah, absolutely, they have the right to be negative, and that's fine. But surely if I've got the right to disagree and be a little bit confident, and yet asking why spout your confidence. I don't know. This is basically it. Yeah. Not saying you can't be negative, but be healthy about it because and we'll have to be honest here, right? This is where everyone in this conversation needs to be completely honest with one another and look at things in like a much sort of wider perspective, right? There we go. Yeah. Nice little bit of data for you that sort of tells me, yeah, people don't deal with this in a healthy way. When a home team loses a game of football, domestic violence in that city increases by up to 38%. So be negative, sure. Have those negative conversations. But that ain't healthy. And if you just let it take over, then there's a spiral. Because your mindset becomes we've lost the weekend's fucked. And that's just a downward spiral. That's it. That's all you're gonna get. That's where you end up. And this is it, yeah. There's negative and there's catastrophizing. There's honest assessment, and then there's it's all done, it's bad, it's gone, and then things get worse. Because in your head you've gone, uh-oh, worst possible thing. So it flicks the switch and things start tumbling downhill. Yeah, that's why I'm not doing any further research than this quick Google to see what the statistic was, because I remember reading it and it made me really, really sad. Because it's very demonstrative of this is a big problem that probably needs to be discussed a bit more. Because it's not healthy. What happened? I'm out of the loop. Basically, I can't remember what triggered this bit of conversation. Yes, I can. I was asked by Andy why I'm so confident about Leeds, and basically because I've always approached it with the opinion of if I have there's a fly. If I have a hobby and said hobby is making me miserable or I'm just having negative thoughts around it, why is it still my hobby? So I'd like looking at it realistically and thinking on it. One, we've still got a ridiculously good squad and a manager that has gotten promoted out of this stupid, stupid league multiple times and is very, very good. So that's a very big reason to be confident when we've got 41 matches left of the season. Also, at the end of the day, it don't matter that much. It's fine. It's okay. We don't need to lose our heads. It's okay. And I don't think it helps anyone to sort of be in that spiral of taking everything real seriously because that ain't good. There's those people who are negative so they can be right as a consolation prize. Like if we win, they're happy. If they live, they're right for being negative. That's a weird approach to me, though. And it's one that I was met with quite a lot last season because it was like, yeah, I'm confident, and if things go wrong, then I might be sad for a day or two, but it's okay. Because at the end of the day, there'll be more of the football thing I enjoy next year. And then there was. And I got months of being happy and optimistic and positive and all that sort of stuff. And it's like people who are on the sort of downtrodden side, all you're getting is the little dopamine rush when you get to sort of go, I was right. It's come on. If you're doing it to prove a point and be like, yeah, well, at least I wasn't disappointed. You didn't really get to be happy at any point in that process, though, did you? Yeah, I learned not to get stressed out if we lose. I can't do anything to affect that. So if I can't affect it, why would I be one of the people that lets it affect me? So it's okay. It's why when we lose, I'm now in the place of rather than because it's just a healthy middle ground, you know. It's a good spot to be in. Well, I know Leeds ain't life or death is a pastime, but there's obvious issue with Leeds at the moment. Your flippant confidence comments said Leeds. What? My guy, we are 5 games in. We're 5 games into a football season. And we've lost one match that, on the face of it, probably deserved to win. Which, weirdly, would have pushed us above the 2 points per game. We don't need to do head loss. It's fine. It's okay. It's all good. Anyway, I'm going to hop back over to Questions Corner for a couple more minutes of stream. Um, yeah, man, I gave them favorite song in the first 5 minutes. I mean, this one maybe there's a point because you got to start with a banger, and then you can do like you take the energy of the opening banger, sorry, and just soothe it down a little bit, and you carry it through to sort of like the back end of your albums, and occasionally sprinkle some bangers in there so people keep their attention. Question, well, it isn't a question, just keep it. Oh, thank you. If you haven't yet, by the way, pop a like on the stream. It's always appreciated. It's great. Leeds United lost 9 times the year they were promoted. Leeds United have lost I'm guessing that's 1 in 5. Do the predictive math for the rest of the season. How many matches would they lose? Yeah, but I could have said like last weekend, like Leeds are never going to lose again because we hadn't lost that season. So it's just, wait out. It's okay. I will any questions, but I've got like 2 more minutes, and then I need to prep for a presentation that I'm giving to some people with big budgets that I would like some of. How many clean sheets we had this season? Currently, 3, which ain't too bad. 60% clean sheet rate. Yeah, like, come on, look at it. At the end of the day, got Cardiff up next. Cardiff, piece of piss. We'll be fine. If pots wait for more data before I come up with half full glass of wine commits. Okay, fine, but as long as you don't do half empty. Feels fair. Because I'm looking at it as the glass has 2 more drops of wine in it than it did at this same point of the pour last season. So it's more wine. Spoons for fingers are you can only eat eggs for the rest of your life. Spoons for fingers, because you are now allowing me to eat ice cream. And if I've got spoon fingers, imagine how much ice cream I'm going through. Whereas if you've just got eggs, what you got? You got omelets, but you can't have anything in the omelet. You've got quiche, but nothing in the quiche. You can't even have quiche because of the pastry. Yeah, not eggs. Not eggs. Eggs are wrong. That's the wrong answer. But I'll do one more question. The next question that pops up in the chat, I shall do, and it'll be great. It'll be all good. It'll be good fun. And then I gotta do a presentation. Don't want to do a presentation, but there we go. I used to be like in school. I was like, "No, I'll never have to do presentations," and it's like, well, I'm the real world. Yes, you do. Oh, good. Thank you, real world. That's great. The final question. How you doing? Um, the way I put to Locks earlier on when he pinged me this message was, do you want the real answer or the PR answer? Because the PR answer is fantastic, brilliant. The real answer is kind of sad, but working through it, and that's what counts. And then it'll be all good. Give us the Angus Kinnear answer. Well, at the end of the day, we're on an upward trajectory, and if you continue on that upward trajectory and sort of look at the way that it's pathed, then in the long term, you'll see that verticality continue to increase, and at the end of the day, you'll get to where you need to be, and that's what matters. And that's my Angus Kinnear answer, and that is going to be the end of the stream. So, if you enjoyed, like, subscribe. You could even become a channel member. That is always massively appreciated. Check the community post that I did a couple of days ago. That'll give you the context that you want. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you later. Toodaloo.